gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Side to Side Sportscast. This is an all different sportscast because it's your boy, James Wudi, and we're here to break it on down, not from all these different sides. I'm not talking courtside. I'm not talking ringside. This is a special sidelines episode, and I have a very special guest, all right? Will Gaddy couldn't make it tonight, but we have a very special guest. This is a returning guest. You've seen him before. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one, the only Pro Wrestling's own, the Mighty Vesuvius.
Ooh. Oh, I'm ready. It's the fantasy special. I'm coming in Aaron Donald style. I'm coming in swinging. I'm going to take everything from you. I'm going to take your family. I'm going to take your pride, and you're going to thank me for it. All kidding aside, I'm going to try to make maybe a few bucks with everybody here. I don't want anyone to lose their season, but let's do a few tips, talk about things, and don't get caught in any traps because it's going to happen.
Yes, the traps are everywhere. Aaron Donald is everywhere. All right, he's in the backfield. All right, he's.
Oh yeah, that's him right here.
Got the,
yes, that's why I said I got to be careful with it.
Okay. So we got the official.
We'll put that right here.
The official merchandise. So talk to me, right? At this point, most people have drafted, right? There might still be a couple of ones, in these last couple of, hours here, days left. So tell me, how are you feeling about the teams you've drafted? What are some advice you have for the stragglers? And how do we prepare? Week one. We're in week one. How do we prepare?
Oh, lots of good questions here. Definitely do all your research on everyone. Know the next man up because that's the title of the league. It's the next man up league. And especially with the shortened preseason, there were barely any injuries that happened. People kind of go half speed. They put guys in bubble wrap as they should. That's why week one there's going to be crazy amount of injuries, and you better be prepared for it. You better have guys ready to go, and know the difference between second string and handcuff. Second string doesn't necessarily mean that you can put them right in and they're going to be like ready to go. Handcuff means that guy that you put in is going to give you the same production as that or similar to that guy that you had. I mean, it's not going to be the exact star, but it might be close. So an obvious one would be like Ezekiel Elliott. You have Pollard, but Pollard can also play on his own because this season he's going to be lighting up out wide. He's going to be taking snaps at receiver because, quite frankly, they don't have that many guys there right now, and they don't know who they can trust yet because there's a lot of new faces. All they have is CeeDee Lamb and. Actually, can you help me? What is CeeDee Lamb's number right now? I can't think. What's the number on his jersey? I can't think.
88.
88. So pretty much a lot of coaches this year are going to they'll go right up to his. Actually, Belichick did this all the time. He goes right up to a guy's face and says like, "Who would do to go to CeeDee Lamb, for example? They say 2188. Sorry." And if you don't know what that means you're getting double covered all day. You would do it to like Chad Johnson. There's footage of him doing it. He goes
the Ocho Cinco.
Ocho Cinco, whatever his name is these days. I don't know.
Yeah.
He'd look at him and be like, really? He'd be like, oh, man. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe he rises like Megatron, just dominates double teams because Calvin Johnson was one of those guys. Didn't matter if you double teamed him, he was catching the ball anyway.
That's a fact. No,
other handcuffs. Trying to think. People who draft CMC, who's known to have hamstring problems. I guess right now the depth chart is saying Foreman, not Hubbard.
Not Hubbard.
Is third string. Yeah,
that is pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, and Foreman, I thought the Texans loved him, but they kind of just let him go. So.
Yeah, I mean Alexander Madison is definitely a big.
Yes.
Handcuff. I mean, Dalvin Cook, the boy Dalvin Cook can't play a full season. So.
Madison, you might. Yes, I didn't say. I should have said that he's. Yeah, he cannot actually. Yeah, Cook and Chubb both average missing 2 games a season.
Yeah. I mean, Kareem Hunt. Whether Chubb is healthy or not, Kareem Hunt is going to be a factor. So if Chubb goes down, then Kareem Hunt enters like the top 5 running back conversation But if Chubb is 100% healthy, looking like an ox, Kareem Hunt is still catching passes. I'm sure his targets are going to either remain the same at worst or actually go up with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. I mean, Jacoby, he's never been known for being a gunslinger because he's not, right? So he's looking for the short, smart pass, who's open. And obviously, those running backs are open pretty frequently. So it'll be up to Kareem to make a move once he gets that ball. But if you're in a PPR league, move or not, you're out here, you're scoring points. So Kareem Hunt is definitely, I would say that's the big three for the handcuffs is Hunt, Madison, and Pollard for sure.
Yes. There's other guys you could consider, but it doesn't matter. Some guys like Barkley, for example, he doesn't have a handcuff. If he goes down, he's getting replaced by a committee. That's a situation in a lot of rooms right now.
Yeah.
Like Kansas City, I don't know. I don't know. Pacheco is they like him, but they really believe in CEH to see if he has what's going on right now. But McKinnon, they say those are very much the starting guys. They're going to go split back. McKinnon's going to get a ton of receptions. They want to keep using him, but who knows if he holds up. I guess it's a kind of a wait and see. And I wanted to mention the funny thing you mentioned about Chubb is I won a league last year with him as my main running back, and Hunt went down. So when Hunt went down, it was actually Ernest Johnson filling in for me, and he filled in very well for me.
Yes.
And that's a team built on power running and defense. So if the team's built on that, you can actually keep sending those running backs out there because that's just what their game plan is. Games are generally lower scoring, so you can just keep sending those running backs. I personally don't like using running backs on if they're not built on teams like that. I don't like using them if they're eventually going to have to play catch up in the second half because I don't even know if the receptions will be there.
It's tough. I mean, that's like a depending on how low you get to the tiers of the running backs. Like I feel like there are certain guys that you can still count on with game script like that. Like Alvin Kamara is one of the most prolific catching running backs, in the history of the game, right? So I would feel confident with him. Jameis, we already know he's going to attempt it a million times, especially without Sean Payton, who was kind of, calling more of a conservative style last year. I feel like, Jameis is about to air it out. He's somebody that should be rostered in all leagues. But even like someone, if we're going, much lower in the tiers, Cordero
we keep talking about Jameis for a second here, if you mind. Just so everyone, I don't know if anyone remember he played with the Buccaneers and was let go. But fantasy points and real NFL is two completely different things.
Definitely.
So Jameis was a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Even though he turned the ball over time, he was top 10, and he was getting you points every week. However, real NFL, if you're throwing 3-4 interceptions a game, you're single-handedly losing the game for your team. And that's why he was gone. And they took in, who we know, TB12.
Yes. But, yeah, I mean, Jameis, I love Jameis. That 30 for 30 season that he had of, 30-plus TDs, 30 picks, bruh, I won. He was my quarterback, and I literally won the championship.
Because he probably drafted him late, too.
Yeah, he was a waiver wire pickup. Yeah,
I love waiver wire pick. I did 1 year. Oh my god! 1 year I had to stream quarterbacks. I ended up winning this league because of how good I drafted, but I streamed quarterbacks, which it can't happen if you need to. I started with Mariota on the Titans. Oh yeah, he didn't pan out. Then I switched quickly to Deshaun Watson, who was balling out, and all of a sudden he got hurt. So then for 1 week, and I'm very upset I did this against my Giants, I played Jared Goff, and guess what? He threw for 500 yards. I'm pretty sure that was his only game that he threw for 500 yards.
That's unbelievable.
So I was just streaming guys left and right, and eventually I came down to streaming Roethlisberger for the final 8 games because most of his games were at home. And at the time, Roethlisberger was awesome at home, but the rest of my team was pretty awesome too. I had AB, who was number 1 at the time, Hopkins in a breakout season, Tyreek Hill in a breakout season, Adam Thielen in a breakout season, Gronkowski with Delaney Walker backing him up because when I draft at least only a top 5 tight end, I'll have a backup because usually a top 10 guy. Because if you're investing that much draft capital into a top 5 tight end, you should have a little bit of a backup plan because you're going to have to draft. You're drafting them in the first 5 rounds usually for those tight ends. So have for Mark Andrews, for example, is a guy. Actually, he might even work in tandem with them. Isaiah Likely. It's a name you probably should know if you have Andrews on your team, or if you just went into tight end hell because you were trying to draft him late and you missed out on everybody. Trying to roll with guys like Njoku, who might have a good season, or Cole Kmet, who we're wait and see on him right now.
Yeah, I'm not buying the Kmet hype. I love Njoku. Njoku is an athletic freak, and I think he actually will have a decent season. We don't know how prolific, scoring that offense will be, especially from a passing perspective, if it's not Kareem Hunt. But I like Njoku. Cole Kmet, they've been trying to hype up Cole Kmet from day one that he's been in the NFL, and he's done absolutely nothing.
Exactly. Wait and see. We don't know.
But last year he was not good. He was not good at all. And I understand the QB play was horrible last year. And it was round robin. They were streaming QBs. You was talking about you streaming fantasy QBs.
Yeah, they were.
They were literally streaming QBs in the NFL games. So it was crazy. So, you can blame that. Now this year, it's pretty much, we know it's Justin Fields all year. The line is still not great. Everybody's hyping up Justin Fields because he had a good preseason game. That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm not expecting anything from Justin Fields. I think they're going to be a bottom 3 team in the league. Darnell Mooney, they're hyping up. I'd rather believe that hype than Cole Kmet. There's nothing special about Cole Kmet to me. Tight end, deep like that. I think you could do better. Irv Smith Jr. on the Vikings.
Yeah.
A great year before he got hurt.
Yeah.
A great year.
He's someone I like to see do well in that Vikings team. They have a good tight end. Anything can happen. I mean, they have so many options. Defense is a little suspect, but
their offense, yeah. I mean, on paper.
Cousins is everybody listening. Cousins is not a bad guy to have as your starting quarterback. If you need to have a starter at a pinch, he's not going to do anything flashy, but he's going to get you 20 fantasy points.
I mean, right now, you're listening to a Jets and a Giants fan talk right now. Kirk Cousins is way better than anybody on our rosters. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know. Tyrod was looking good at that preseason, but once again, preseason. It's like non-alcoholic beer. What's the point? Yeah.
Pretty much. Literally pretty much. I mean, and I like Tyrod. I like Tyrod for sure. Not RIP, but my apologies. Michael Clemens, was out here laying the smackdown in preseason. I don't know why he had to do that. But yeah, so I like Irv Smith. I like Pat Freiermuth. He's getting talked about a little, so his stock might actually be higher than everybody else's. But he, I think he's a nice sleeper. Another underrated sleeper that nobody's talking about, and I don't even want to talk about it because I cannot pronounce his name, is a starting tight end for the Broncos. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking his name is I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but I also have never heard anyone say it. So that's one of those things I might have to look it up on Wikipedia, see how they say phonetically. But every single game you watch, everyone's gonna butcher his name the first time they say it.
100%. Just a whole bunch of letters. Doesn't even
just with the Washington team switching the teams left and right. That you hear guys slip up. The Chargers, people still call them the San Diego Chargers.
Yes, yeah. It's it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with. Definitely a lot to keep up with. But I think in terms of tight ends, Russell has loved his tight ends pretty much his whole career. Has given people second contracts just by his ability to get them the ball. Especially in the red zone. And we actually saw last year Noah Fant, who's a tremendous tight end, he was getting robbed a little bit by this dude. I think his first name is Albert, so I'm gonna just call him Albert. Was they were kind of almost having that share, that timeshare, and he was the one that was winning out between Noah Fant and himself. And Fant, we already know he's a highly esteemed tight end. So now to have him have the job all by himself and have one of the biggest upgrades in quarterback you could possibly have with Russell at the helm, I don't know. I feel like he's a pretty good sleeper. I feel like you would be better off with him than like Cole Kmet, Evan Ingram, something like that.
Ingram, like who knows? Kirk's definitely Christian Kirk's getting that big target share down in Jacksonville.
Well, we know he's getting a big salary share. That's what we know for sure.
Yeah, that's saying money. I mean, money does play into it. I've heard Boomer Esiason talk about it all the time. Like, it does play into it sometimes. Baseball definitely, and football it does too. Certain guys they pay them for a reason, and they expect them to earn their money too.
Yeah,
as they should.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to earn all that, but
we'll see. But what it's looking like, they having decent chemistry together. Marvin Jones still going to be a factor only because he trusts him. Yeah. Ingram, who knows? As a Giants fan, I know he can have a great game, or he can have 3-4 drops and maybe one catch for 10 yards, and then have like 3 catches for 85 or 4 for 85 and a touchdown. Like, the guy can run, he can move.
Definitely.
But he's not consistent. But who knows? Maybe it's something new. But speaking of the Jaguars, they have all those people that drafted Travis Etienne. Slow your roll for a second. He's going to be good, but the Jacksonville camps, that once James Robinson's 100% healthy, it's a split. They've already said that. So Etienne, they're bringing along slowly. It's kind of reminding me of Derrick Henry when he was drafted. He was brought. I mean, I think it took about 3 years for him to actually finally start. I had a keeper league he just kept sitting on my bench for a while. But this keeper league, we could keep anybody we want for as long as we want. So if you have a bad draft, like the real NFL, it's going to set you back a few years.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's excellent foresight, because I think DeMarco Murray might have even been on the team. Like
he was the starter. He was holding him back.
Yeah, like he was buried, and then obviously we already know. I mean, King Henry.
Yes,
we already know who he
is. Arian Foster's another one. It's another guy that just sat there for a while.
Yeah. Like, no, honestly, sometimes that definitely happens. Etienne, I'm not even gonna lie, I drafted him in one of my leagues. Like, he's like my RB1. It's
you have receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, all top tier.
Yeah, I mean, so that team, I got Brady. I picked Justin Jefferson pretty high. So
well, it's okay. PPR, Justin Jefferson's probably going to be. I'm going to say this right here. He's probably going to do better than Cooper Kupp.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Allen Robinson knows that route tree, and he's going to get thrown to. So.
Yes. And I 100% feel like Justin Jefferson is going to finish the best receiver in the NFL. Like, I'm talking about fantasy football wise.
Yes.
He's going to finish with the most points. That's what I believe. So I picked him. I picked him with a top 5 pick, actually. So I was like, Justin Jefferson.
He's worth that top 5 pick.
Then I picked
maybe a top 6. He could be top 5 still.
He is special. He is special. So I had him and Keenan Allen. And then in the 3rd round, the running back situation was not looking good, man. It was not looking good. So I had to force. I felt bad picking a 3rd receiver. So I forced Etienne there, and then I got Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, and sometimes that 0 RB strategy kind of chooses you. But you got to be willing. It happened to me once, and it worked out very well. I don't even remember that one team I was talking that was stacked. I had Alvin Kamara in his breakout year too.
Oh my god!
But I had him and Ingram together every single game, but I could do that because they both scored every single game.
Yeah.
They scored enough points together. Not too many tandems you could say that about. I guess one a little further back than that, where you can start 2 guys confidently, was Ricky Williams and Ronnie Brown were playing together.
Yeah.
You have like guys like that to just spell each other and just have fresh legs constantly. You can win games.
Definitely tough. It's like super risky, but it's definitely tough. I mean, it's definitely possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
But it can be done. I mean, in this day, like today's game, I would literally only put Chubb and Hunt
Yeah, so it's the only one I can think of right now because, like Henry, technically Hilliard's the backup, but if Henry were to go down, they're gonna have a committee there too.
Yeah. I mean, we might see Vrabel taking some snaps.
Yeah,
hey,
he still could do it.
Yeah,
I don't know about a running back, but maybe linebacker. He still has something left.
I mean, yeah, he still got stocky. He's a little stocky still. But no, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I actually feel like all drafts, like you just gotta like ride the wave. Like you got first things first. You got to know the scoring, right? Because scoring impacts like you just said with Justin Jefferson. Right? In PPR, he is a little bit more valuable than standard. If you got like
those PPR too.
Yeah.
PPR is kind of in the middle there because I just noticed in the league I drafted that in half PPR, it's okay to take top receivers and kind of like gamble on the running backs. But I did notice that out of the 10 running backs, the top 10 running backs scored more than Cooper Kupp did. All 10 of them. And 6 of them scored 100 more points than he did, that's not nothing.
That's definitely not nothing.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's half PPR, not standard, half PPR. Now PPR, that's when everything gets a little more like even.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. And that's why those running backs, like Derrick Henry is an anomaly, but and I know Christian McCaffrey wasn't one of those 10, but Christian McCaffrey is one of the greatest things that ever happened. Every year that I had Christian McCaffrey and he played a full season, I won the championship. It was a guaranteed chip. The boy scores 30 points every game because he is rushing at least 15 times a game for, let's say 88 yards. And he has 10 catches for 100 yards. And 3 TDs.
That'll do it.
Like
sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw, and that's one of those guys.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So yeah, those running backs, those dual threats, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell back in the day, Jamal Charles, like these were.
Speaking of Le'Veon Bell, you know who was a good running back to have on your team, even though he had weird stats? It was Jerome Bettis.
Oh,
he would have 7 yards with 3 touchdowns, and it'd be like all the time because they had a great offense.
Yes. Now that
was at the end of his career. Obviously, he's a Hall of Fame running back, and he had his games, but this is like the very end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, LeGarrette Blount, he went through a stretch where LeGarrette Blount was just the same thing. He would have 10 yards but 3 TDs every week, and he was like, it's actually crazy that he's not in the league, but I guess these running backs, they kind of fall off a cliff, especially, a physical one like that, wear and tear. But he was, he was definitely a tremendous back to have.
This made me think of something with the Kansas City backs. Well, wrong side. It seemed like every single time they would switch it back, they just found another gem. So let's go back to the beginning of fantasy football. You probably were starting Priest Holmes. And after Priest Holmes, it was Larry Johnson. And after Larry Johnson, it was pretty much a combo between Thomas Jones, who did well, and Jamal Charles. And now where are we? I don't know.
Well, they had Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. Yeah, it's another. Yeah.
And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire has dropped the ball mightily. Literally fumbled a couple times. And
after Hunt, I was wondering, they had Darrell Williams would fill in. He would do really well filling in, but there's only so many dollars to go around, and he's one of those veteran guys. They needed to draft younger guys. McKinnon wasn't begging for that much money.
Well, hey, I'll say this because he might still be on the waiver wire for most of the leagues out there.
Yes,
I'm a huge believer in Ronald Jones. All right, I feel like this is somebody.
He is. Unfortunately, he's 4th string right now.
No, but hey,
yeah, anything can happen. He made the cut. There's a lot of rumors out there that he wasn't going to make the team. He made the cut.
It's crazy though. It's really so crazy because he was a productive back in Tampa Bay. Like he was doing a great job. and Bruce Arians just hates his guts. He traded for Lenny Fournette, right? He didn't need to do that, but he was like, you know what? Let me give up this pick and get a running back because I hate you, Ronald Jones, so much. And of course, Fournette, a top 5 pick, has been doing work. Tom Brady revitalized his career. Tom Brady is a tremendous teammate. Might not be the best husband. Sorry, Giselle. He's playing again, 45. But he is one of the greatest teammates in the history of North American team sports. He revitalized Lenny's career, and now Ronald Jones is trying to find a home. If the Jets didn't have 2, very highly touted young running backs, I would take Ronald Jones, in a heartbeat. Maybe that's who should be backing up Saquon. He can do it all. All right. The last person in the NFL to have a 98-yard touchdown is that man, Ronald Jones. So, he has the speed. He can catch. He did have a little bit of a fumbling issue, but he's a talented back. So if he just
gets way back in his Andy's good graces. He made the team. He has to like him somehow. Not the fake Andy, not the one I showed you sitting in the stands. It looked just like him. It fooled me too. Why is Andy in the stands? If you guys have a chance, look it up. It was last week. There was a fan in the stands of the Kansas City game, and he looked exactly like Andy Reid.
It was unbelievable. It was
holding, the Waffle House menu in front of his face. No, it was like.
No, it was special. But yeah, hopefully we'll see. But I definitely because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not that dude. That's all I gotta say about that. He's not it.
They're giving him a shot one more time, but who knows? Yeah. That's why I was saying like McKinnon's not like a bad guy to have, or Pacheco. It depends what your bench looks like. If you can have 2 spots for them, like if you can, but you're gonna drop someone, and save those waiver wire claims. Save them. Don't just waste them. And definitely. If you use it on a defense or a kicker, your waiver wire claim, your top waiver wire claim, I'm going to come through this computer and I'm going to choke you. I do a super kick as one of my finishers. I'm not going to do that because I'll just knock you out. But I'm going to choke you and smack some sense into you. I don't want to scare you out there, but please do not do that. Use it. Wait, save it up. I mean, really think about it. Is this person worth the waiver claim? Maybe people you're dating. Is this person worth the waiver claim? And if they are, go ahead and take that leap.
Oh my gosh! Well, you heard it here first. Yes. No, those waivers are definitely valuable. Obviously, injury, and that's right. Like that's tough, right? Because everybody knows when that one person goes down, and like now you gotta do the next man up. And we talked about it. We've actually talked multiple times about the classic Tony Pollard, but like when I can't even think Najee. If Najee Harris goes down, like it's not always
they have 2 options there. I'm not even sure because I've actually been reading about that, and it doesn't seem like Snell might be the guy anymore. Originally he was, but. They have drafted another guy. I'm trying to think of his name right now. Jalen. He's the guy right now.
Oh, I know they used to have Jalen Samuels, but I don't think that's it.
No, it's not Samuels. I want to see this real quick. It's gonna get me going crazy. I gotta get this depth chart.
Yeah. Well, that's another tough part, right? Everybody's depth charts across the league. Who's doing this in training camp? I mean, it's 32 teams, to keep up with. Like that's a strategy that I've tried to employ is really like, picking like 10 teams that I'm just like, you know what? I hate these teams.
Jaylen Warren, sorry.
Warren.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is the number 2 right now, just so you guys know.
Oh, over Snell. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so like, like when those guys go down, then like the waiver comes in and then you got to do that hope, that leap of faith that they turn to be a Dearness Johnson.
Yes.
And not, a Devontae Booker. You got to hope for the.
He's a waiver claim on consistent guys. If they just like for a receiver, just like 3 catches for 100 yards, that's not consistent. That's a home run guy.
Yes.
And sometimes it's okay to do that, especially going into like a Monday night and you need a home run threat. Then you got to throw someone like that out there. Unfortunately, he might get you like nothing, but like if you're down a certain amount of points, Mike Williams was that guy. And
Yes.
he's projected to be a little more consistent this year and but Josh Palmer is right there too, and he's supposed to get targets too out of the slot. So, Mike Williams, he's being drafted as a WR2, and I'm hoping he can deliver for people, but I'm not sure. Allen's good. He's the one.
Yeah,
I think
I'm not hoping that. I'm not hoping that Mike Williams, because I have not drafted Mike Williams at all, ever.
Me neither.
I can't.
Actually, I used to joke around and say he wasn't good enough from a bench. And my benches have been like usually by the end of the season, like anybody can start. The entire bench can start, but that's like you're playing. You're trying to play that. I call it waiver wire defense, where I pick up guys just so nobody else can play them. I'll do that. I'll go as deep as 6 running backs just to do that.
Yeah,
speaking of running backs, what's going on with the Ravens? That's going to be a big contender going on in that division. A lot of people think the Bengals are your win, but the Ravens are finally fully healthy. But you have Rashad Bateman as your WR1 right now, so we'll see what happens. Andrews and Likely, I think, are going to be a deadly tight end duo. One we haven't seen since Gronk, and somebody I don't want to mention right now. But we all know who that is. He's just not around anymore.
No, he's definitely not around. He's not around today.
See, somebody else mentioned when it may be as good as when they had Sharp and Todd Heap together. That's a blast from the past.
Oh, that is definitely a blast.
Yeah,
that is a blast.
So they have Dobbins, who's last I heard, like he was trying to get in Twitter wars with people saying he's going to be 100 by week 1. That's not true. He's going to be kind of eased in a bit, but he's not. I've heard 2 answers. I've heard 100 by week 5 and 100 by week 11. So I'm going to believe the lower one right now, because anyone drafting Dobbins it's going to be you can't start him.
That's crazy. I actually didn't even hear. I didn't know it was that late. All I knew as a Jet fan, I knew that he wasn't available week 1. So I was.
Oh yeah. I was telling him another Jet fan. I was like, "Don't be, the Jets. They win these games against these playoff teams. Don't be surprised if they win this one."
Nah, I don't know. I can't say all that, especially if Joe Flacco is throwing the football.
Hey, the sun shines on a dog's butt once in a while, right?
Well, Flacco definitely been playing like dog butt the last 3 years. So if the sun decides to shine there, then I guess Flacco will have his day. Every dog has their day, but he has not won the game since 2019. That's all I have to say about that. He is horrible.
Let's see. Well, to stick with quarterbacks, actually, I got a good question for you. How do you think Trey Lance is going to do this year? And he still has Garoppolo there breathing down his neck, which I kind of thought was a mistake. Them keeping him because they wanted it to be Trey Lance's team. But now pressure's on.
The pressure's on. I agree. It was a mistake.
There's going to be a little civil war there. I mean, Garoppolo was with these guys, and they had a nice little playoff run last year.
Yeah, I mean, they've been kind of consistently competing. I mean, the only year in the last 3 that they didn't compete, Garoppolo was hurt. Like the entire team was decimated with injuries. But they just played
the immortal Nick Mullins as their quarterback.
Yes. No, I mean they're a good team. They played in the Super Bowl. They would have won the Super Bowl if Jimmy G wasn't a bad quarterback. So Trey Lance, how do I feel about Trey Lance? I feel like he could be a Jalen Hurts, where in the real NFL, no one's saying Jalen Hurts is a top 15 quarterback, but in fantasy, I believe he was top 10. He actually led the NFL in rushing yards as a QB. Oh, yeah.
I had him as my starter last year, and I was calling him fourth quarter Hurts, because do not look at the first 3 quarters. You'll think you're going to lose the game. That fourth quarter comes around. I mean, he knows how to win games. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, mostly fantasy, but I mean, even they did make the playoffs. They made the playoffs.
Yeah, he was. I like our tone when we said that he made the playoffs.
He made like
He made the playoffs.
But Trey Lance. So here's the thing about Trey Lance. He has a better O line. Actually, they're both top 5 O lines between him and Hurts. He has a better coach. All right, Kyle Shanahan is probably the most brilliant offensive mind in the NFL today. He has Deebo Samuel. Ayuk is a good weapon. George Kittle might be the most physically gifted of the tight ends. He has everything that you would want to start your NFL career.
Good defense too.
Great defense. Yeah, a great defense. He's mobile. I think the difference between him and Hurts is that I actually think that Trey Lance is going to be a little bit more accurate with his deep balls. He has a much stronger arm. And I think Kyle is going to want to let it fly. I think that's actually why he made the switch from Jimmy to Trey. Because if he wanted to do all that game manager 15, yard passes, then Jimmy's your guy. Because that's literally all he can do. It was when they needed to push that Jimmy was not throwing accurate balls. So I think the difference between Jimmy and Trey is that Trey will be more confident. Trey will air it out. So I think he might actually be a better Hurts from a passing standpoint. Will he get to 750 rushing yards the way that Jalen did? Probably not. So he's going to be a worse rusher, a better passer. Overall, he might end up being pretty much the same as Jalen Hurts was last year, which was a top 10 quarterback in fantasy. That's unbelievable. His ceiling is very high.
Truth be told, I drafted Tannehill to start last year because he had last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yeah. This year. Please don't draft him this year.
Yes.
Please don't draft him this year.
Yes. That would be a super kick. That's a come to the computer super kick if you draft Ryan Tannehill.
I drafted him last year, and I only started him for 2 weeks. I drafted Hurts, and he just kept falling in the draft. I'm like, I gotta take a chance on him, see what he has. But yeah, week 3, he was my starter from that point on.
Yeah,
Tannehill, I just flat out dropped him. I was like, I had enough. You're done.
yeah, that's how you had to do it.
Go home, Ryan. You're drunk. maybe he turns his career around this season, but.
He keep turning his career around. He was a bust, then he came back, got a contract. Now
he really came back from the dead too.
Yeah,
he knew he was a gunslinger, but he just wasn't coming around in Miami. But Miami's been in this weird
Adam Gase. It's Adam Gase, right? He ruined him. He ruined my boy Sam Darnold.
He did.
And now Adam Gase is not a head coach. He is an OC. For the high school football team in the town that he lives in. So that tells you all you need to know about Adam Gase and his NFL credentials.
Is he still a quarterback whisperer?
We got to ask Peyton that one. We got to ask Peyton. Because honestly, I would have sued Peyton for libel. The boy lied to all of us trying to tell us that Adam Gase was some sort of mastermind calling the plays to lead, the number one offense, in NFL history with those Broncos. So Peyton, you lied. It's okay though. It's still a great guy. Nationwide is on your side. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of those those insurance commercials, anytime I hear someone's mentioned the Washington Commanders, I can't help but go, "We are Commanders."
No, those Commanders, I don't even know what to think about them. Real NFL fantasy, I don't know. The only thing I know is that Scary Terry McLaurin. That's he is as consistent as they come.
And everybody, one guy that was screaming up the draft boards was Brian Robinson. So we wish him a speedy recovery and he can come back. He was shot in the thigh and the butt, I believe. And everything's okay. He walked back to the facility, and he should be playing or starting to really ramp up by week 5. So hopefully he gets his shot because people are excited to see him work. He totally beat out Antonio Gibson. Thankfully, nothing bad happened to him. It was just it was a attempted carjacking, and thankfully he was able to survive and still be able to play this game that we all love.
Yes, no, that definitely crazy. It's a crazy world that we live in, and again, definitely fortunate to have survived. Not even just survived, but to be healthy enough where playing this season is an option.
Yeah, yeah. It's like week 5. I was just like, he's a warrior.
I was just about to say, heart of a warrior, for sure. I will actually say one thing on the Commanders. I did, put Terry on a pedestal. Allowed me to put Logan Thomas on that same pedestal.
Oh, yeah. It says, speaking, if you're looking for tight ends, yes, he is a possibility.
He will also not start until like week 5, but he'll be. I promise you, he'll be worth the wait. That's a top 10 tight end for the rest of the year. Talented, uber talented. Carson loves his tight ends. It's like the only area of the field that he knows how to hit accurately, and confidently these days. We've seen Logan Thomas produce top 10 tight end stats with Tyler Heineke, Alex Smith. He's proven that it doesn't actually matter who's throwing him the football. He is a talented guy. He just coming off an ACL tear, but he'll be back.
Who's speaking of? We're going further down the list here when you look at your team. So below tight end is kicker. We don't have to talk about that. But below kicker is defense. Do you have any suggestions for defenses for people this year who stream them, like myself? I kind of like the Bengals, even though I usually don't like division games. That Bengals defense against the Steelers, the Eagles defense against Detroit. Occasionally, traditionally, for some reason, the Eagles have a problem with Detroit, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. Are there any other defense you think that people are not drafting but streaming? Speaking of which, if you drafted the Rams and Bills, that's fine, but, they're playing each other, and those are top offenses, and maybe you get 1 point, maybe you get positive points, but you're probably going to get between -1 and -3 points with both those defenses.
Well, if we're talking, week 1.
Yeah, week 1. Just week 1 now for people know who they can stream.
I hate to disrespect my boys, but pick up the Ravens. The Ravens. Flacco literally threw a pick 6 in preseason. Throwing like the Giants specifically did not start their starters on defense. They did not start. They played their second stringers, their third strings. There were people fighting for a spot on the team, and Flacco threw a pick 6. Now we're talking about the Ravens, who have one of the most talented defenses on paper in the entire NFL.
And they're healthy. They got their corners back now.
Exactly.
They're all hurt, and they were getting burned last year because of it.
Right. They drafted Kyle Hamilton, the wonderkin safety. Right. He's doing work. That side of the ball. That side of the ball is the reason why people are talking about the Ravens as potentially winning that division, right? Because we know offense, it's Lamar and then a whole bunch of spare parts. Andrews likely. It's the defense that has people talking. Flacco, like we said, he's not anything special. He hasn't won a football game since 2019. Check your calendar. Look at what year it is, and remember that stat. That's an unbelievable stat. The fact that he's starting for my New York Jets makes me want to vomit. But that's
those counting at home. That's before COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Before COVID, the last time
we all had hope.
It's unbelievable.
I had so many concerts and comedy shows I was going to go to. I finally went to my last delayed ticket. I saw Rage Against the Machine a couple weeks ago. It was delayed 2 years.
Well, I don't know, because Joe Flacco's last NFL win has been delayed 5 years. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if we'll ever see a win ever again from Joe Flacco. The Jets O-line still needs time to gel. I think the Ravens are a great week 1 streaming option. They might actually be pretty good for the rest of the year too.
Just so everyone knows, if you're doing DFS, I have 3 lineups. All of them have the Ravens defense.
Yeah,
they're cheap too. For some reason, they're cheap right now, and that's what you want to play. DFS, always play cheap defense that's able to win the game.
Yeah, it's Who do the Giants play week 1?
Titans. You know what that
yeah.
means? 8 in the box for Henry. That's all you do. Because are we really afraid of Robert Woods? I don't know. I would try him out one-on-one with Jackson just to see what happens. Because the receivers, Burks is like, apparently he's coming along kind of slow, the guy they drafted. So he's a wait and see on him. Are we going to be really worried about Anthony Ferguson, their tight end? No. And then Tannehill? No. I mean, Henry's a beast. That's why, 8 in the box. It happened at Peterson when they had no other options on Minnesota. He started seeing 8 in the box every single game. That was pretty much his downfall. It was the end of his career.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not ready to say.
I mean, I don't know if they can win I hope they can win the game, but Henry he has a way of having his way with people. He's a very large man, and he can run very fast.
I mean, there's only one king, King Henry. Yeah. I'm not saying his reign is over.
It's not over. It's he's going to run hard, but he's going to start seeing more 8-man fronts now because no AJ Brown. Obviously, Julio left too, but he didn't really help him much anyway. Yeah, so they don't have it until. I mean, Woods actually. If anyone that took Woods on your bench. Great pick because he has very sure hands. He's a very low drop rate. The guy he'll get points for sure. He might not light at the board, but he's someone who can fill in definitely during a bye week or an injury or something.
Oh,
he can start with confidence.
Not even a question. So let me ask you, in 2 sentences, what advice do you have for anybody? Has their team, they're ready to play fantasy football. These are the closing remarks from the Mighty Vesuvius.
All right, first and foremost, please be patient. Be patient with your team. This is the team that you drafted. Don't just go for trades immediately. Don't think they're not going to be bad. Of course, trades can happen sometimes. Make sure it's an even trade. But please be patient because I capitalize on people abandoning players on their team. So just abandon them. Say, they had 3 bad weeks. I'm going to leave them. But sometimes guys have they might have a bad month, and then all of a sudden they just start lighting it up. So please be patient. What else? Oh yeah, and actually, I think I already said it before. Save your waiver wire claim. That top claim when it goes up, preferably get it up to a 1, 2, 3 that area, preferably a 1 or 2. But save it when you need it. Usually, you're only going to get 2 of those claims a season. So use them wisely. Once at the beginning of the season. If you're at the end of your draft, that was an awesome pick on your part. I was at the end of one of my drafts. I am saving that claim. Sometimes that breakout start, there might be 1 or 2 week 1, but most of them are going to be between weeks 2 through 4. That's when you get your guys like Elijah Mitchell, players like that you can have on your bench. And then you're going to want to do it at the end of the season when the playoffs are happening. So that's, for example, last year, that's when I picked up Rashad Penny, and he was going off at the end of the season. So just be patient, save your claims.
There it is. Be patient, save your claims. And those are the keys from the Mighty Vesuvius. You heard it here first on the Side to Side Sportscast, ladies and gentlemen. Please, thank you. All right, to Aaron Donald himself. Look at him; he's ready. All right, for the battle of the fantasy football legends out here. The Mighty Vesuvius is ready. We thank you for your time. All right, let us know how you feel in the comments. Which running backs are sleepers out there? How you're feeling about J.K. Dobbins? Let us know everything. All right, and until we see you, from me,
it's football season.
It's football season. We out.